I'm not leaving her out there to die. I don't care what any of you say." The words cut through the chaos of the crashed bus like a knife. Everyone turned to stare at the blonde farm boy standing in the doorway, snow already coating his cheap jacket. The rich kids whispered. The teachers looked away. And outside, the blizzard that had already killed 3 people in Montana that week screamed louder. But before we dive into how one decision changed everything, hit that subscribe button right now. This story gets darker, more shocking, and more beautiful than you can imagine. And drop a comment telling me what city you are watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's get into it. The bus driver was dead. Nobody said it out loud, but everyone knew. His head rested against the shattered windshield at an angle that made Ethan Ryder's stomach turn. The front of the charter bus had crumpled like paper against the pine tree, and now 23 students and 2 teachers sat in the wreckage listening to the wind tear the mountain apart. "Everyone stay calm," Mr. Peterson said, but his voice shook so badly the words barely made sense. Blood ran down his forehead from where he'd hit the ceiling during the crash. "Help is coming." "Help isn't coming," someone muttered from the back. "We're in the middle of nowhere." Ethan sat near the emergency exit, his hands shaking not from fear, but from cold that had already started seeping through the broken windows. His jacket was 3 years old and too thin for this kind of weather. His boots had holes in them, but he'd grown up on a farm where winter meant survival, not vacation, and he knew what 20 below zero looked like. This was worse. "We need to do a head count," Mrs. Chen said, her voice tight with panic. She stood up, gripping the seats for balance as the bus tilted slightly. "Everyone sound off when I call your name." She started with the front row. The rich kids from Riverside Academy answered one by one, their voices small and scared. Madison Holbrook, Tyler Vance, Courtney something. Ethan didn't know most of their names. He'd only been at Riverside for 6 months ever since his mom died, and he'd moved in with his grandfather, the scholarship kid, the charity case, the boy who smelled like hay and didn't own a phone. Mrs. Chen kept reading names. Ashley Kane, silence. Ashley Kane, louder this time, more silence. Ethan felt his chest tighten. He looked around the bus, scanning every face. Ashley's seat, 3rd row window side, was empty. Her designer backpack was gone, and the emergency exit directly across from her seat was standing wide open, snow pouring in like water. "She's not here," Madison said quietly. "She got off." Mr. Peterson's head snapped up. "What do you mean she got off?" "Right after we crashed." Madison's voice dropped to barely a whisper. "She grabbed her bag and left. I thought she was just, I don't know, getting air or something." "Getting air." Mr. Peterson's face went white. "In a blizzard. I didn't think she'd go far." Ethan was already standing. "How long ago?" Everyone looked at him like he'd just appeared out of thin air. "How long ago did she leave?" he repeated, his voice sharper now. Madison blinked. Maybe 10 minutes? 15? 15 minutes in this storm." Ethan moved to the open emergency exit and looked out into the white hell. The wind hit him like a fist, stealing his breath. Snow came down so thick he couldn't see 5 feet. The temperature had to be -20, maybe colder with the wind. 15 minutes was enough to die. "We have to find her," Ethan said. "Find her." Mr. Peterson laughed, but it sounded more like crying. "Son, we can't even find ourselves right now. Sit down. She's going to freeze to death. So will you if you go out there." Ethan turned to face him. "So we just leave her, we wait for rescue." Mr. Peterson wiped blood from his eyes. "The GPS emergency beacon activated. Help will come. But if you go out there, you'll die. Do you understand me? You will die. She'll die first. That's not our problem right now." The words hung in the air like poison. Ethan stared at the teacher, this man who was supposed to protect them, and saw nothing but fear. Not concern, not courage, just raw animal fear. "Jesus Christ," Tyler muttered from his seat. "Her dad's going to murder all of us." "Shut up, Tyler," Madison hissed. "I'm serious. Do you know who her father is?" Everyone knew who Marcus Kane was. Even Ethan, who'd only been at Riverside for 6 months, had heard the stories. President of the Montana Hells Angels chapter. A man who'd been to prison twice and walked out both times more dangerous than before. The kind of person you saw on the news when someone important got hurt. "We can't go after her," Mrs. Chen said quietly. If something happens to one of you, I'll lose my job. We have to wait for professionals. There are no professionals coming, Ethan said. The ranger station is 40 miles away. In this storm, nobody's getting here for hours, maybe days. You don't know that? I grew up on a farm. I know exactly what this is. He grabbed his jacket from his seat and started putting it on. Someone has to go. If you walk out that door, you're expelled, Mr. Peterson said. The threat came out desperate, pathetic. Do you hear me, expelled? Ethan almost laughed. Expelled. Like that mattered when someone was dying. He zipped up his jacket and pulled his hood tight. His gloves were in his pocket, worn leather things his grandfather had given him. They wouldn't be enough, but they were all he had. Where are you going? Courtney asked, her voice small. To find Ashley. You'll freeze. Probably, Eskimo. Then why? Ethan looked at her. Really looked at her. She was wearing a Canada Goose jacket that cost more than his entire wardrobe. Her boots were designer. Her gloves were cashmere. And she was terrified, huddled in her seat like a child. Because nobody else will, he said. He climbed through the emergency exit before anyone could stop him. The cold hit him like a truck. The wind screamed in his ears and snow instantly covered his face, his hands every exposed inch of skin. He couldn't see the ground, couldn't see the sky, couldn't see anything except white chaos spinning in every direction. Ashley, his voice disappeared into the storm. Ashley, nothing. He took a step forward and immediately sank to his knees in snow. Panic flickered in his chest, real panic, the kind that said, turn around, go back, survive. But he shoved it down. Ashley had gone this way. Had to have. The emergency exit faced west away from the road. She would have walked straight ahead trying to find help or shelter or anything that wasn't the crash bus. Ethan pushed forward, using his hands to feel ahead of him. The world was nothing but white noise and burning cold. His fingers were already going numb. His face felt like someone was holding it to a fire and ice at the same time. Ashley. Still nothing. He'd been walking for maybe 3 minutes when he realized he couldn't see the bus anymore. He turned around and there was only white, no lights, no shapes, no reference points. The bus was gone, swallowed by the storm, and now he was alone in the worst blizzard Montana had seen in 20 years. For the first time since leaving the bus, Ethan felt real fear. Not fear for Ashley, fear for himself. Because Mr. Peterson had been right about one thing: people died in storms like this. Died fast. Died cold. Died alone. Ashley, can you hear me? The wind answered. Just the wind. Ethan kept walking. His grandfather's voice echoed in his head lessons from a childhood spent on the farm. Never stop moving in the cold. Moving means warmth. Warmth means survival. But if you can't find shelter in 20 minutes, turn back. Pride kills faster than cold. 20 minutes. He'd give himself 20 minutes. Ashley. Then he heard it. Faint, almost lost in the storm. But there. Help. Ethan's heart stopped. Ashley, where are you? Help me. He followed the voice, stumbling through drifts that came up to his thighs. His legs burned, his lungs burned, everything burned with cold that felt like fire. Keep talking, I can't see you. I'm here, I can't. The voice was getting weaker. Ethan pushed harder, practically swimming through the snow now. And then suddenly the ground disappeared beneath him. He fell 6 feet straight down into a ravine, landing hard on his side. Pain exploded through his ribs. For a moment he couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't do anything but lie there gasping while snow buried him. Who's there? Who's? Ethan forced himself up. The ravine was narrow, maybe 10 feet across, and the walls were steep. But down here, sheltered from the worst of the wind, he could actually see a few feet ahead. That's when he found her. Ashley Kane lay crumpled beneath a fallen pine tree, half buried in snow. Her designer jacket was soaked through. Her jeans were ice-coated. Her face was pale, not pale like sick, pale like death, and her lips had started turning blue. Oh, God, Ethan breathed. He crawled toward her, his ribs screaming with every movement. Ashley, Ashley, can you hear me? Her eyes fluttered open. They were gray. He'd never noticed that before. Gray like the storm. You, she whispered. Yeah, it's me, Ethan, from school. The farm boy. That's me. He started checking her for injuries. Her left leg was pinned under the tree, but she could move her toes when he asked. No obvious breaks. Can you feel your fingers? No. That's okay. That's normal. It wasn't normal. It was frostbite. But he couldn't tell her that. We're going to get you out of here. Can't move. I know. Just stay with me, okay? Stay awake. He grabbed the tree trunk and pulled. It didn't budge. He tried again using his legs this time and felt something shift. One more pull and the tree rolled away just enough for Ashley to slide free. She cried out in pain. I'm sorry, Ethan said. But we have to move. Can you stand? I don't think. Try. Come on. I've got you. He pulled her up and she collapsed against him. She weighed almost nothing. Her whole body shook with cold so violent it looked like seizures. We're going to die out here, she said. No, we're not. Yes, we are. You should have stayed on the bus? Probably. Ethan looked around the ravine. The walls were too steep to climb. The storm still raged overhead, and night was coming. He could feel it in the air, that particular quality of cold that meant the sun was setting, the temperature dropping even further. They needed shelter. Now. There, he said, pointing to an overhang in the ravine wall. See that? Ashley's eyes barely focused. See what? That ledge. We can dig into the snow behind it. Make a cave. A cave. Snow cave. It'll trap our body heat, keep us alive until the storm passes. That's insane. It's survival. He started moving toward the overhang, half carrying Ashley. My grandpa taught me. We did it once when our truck broke down in a snowstorm. Saved our lives. Your grandpa sounds crazy. He was, but he knew how to stay alive. Ethan set Ashley down against the ravine wall and started digging. His hands were so numb he couldn't feel the snow anymore, but he kept going, scooping out armfuls, creating a hollow space behind the overhang. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't big, but it would work. Get in, he said. Ashley stared at the cave like it was a coffin. I can't. Yes, you can. Come on. He helped her crawl inside, then followed, sealing the entrance with packed snow. Instantly, the wind died. The temperature, still freezing, felt almost warm compared to the hell outside. They sat in complete darkness, shoulder to shoulder, breathing hard. We're going to die, Ashley said again. Stop saying that. It's true. It's not. Ethan started taking off his jacket. Here, put this on over yours. What? No, you'll freeze. You're already hypothermic. I'm not. Put it on. Ethan, put it on, Ashley. She went quiet. Then slowly she took the jacket. In the darkness he heard her crying. Hey, he said softly. It's okay. It's not okay. Nothing's okay. Her voice broke. I left the bus because I was scared. I panicked. And now you're going to date because of me. Nobody's dying. Everyone thinks my family are monsters, she said. The Hell's Angels, criminals, killers. And maybe they are. Maybe that's all true, but they would never leave someone behind. Not like those teachers. Not like those rich kids who couldn't even look at me after they found out who my dad was. Ethan was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I don't think you're a monster. You don't know me. I know you're scared. I know you're hurt. I know you're human. He paused. That's enough. Ashley laughed, a broken, painful sound. The farm boy everyone makes fun of is the only one who came looking for me. That's pretty messed up, isn't it? Yeah, Ethan admitted. It is. They sat in silence, listening to the storm rage outside their tiny cave. Ethan's ribs throbbed. His hands burned with frostbite. And slowly, very slowly, he started to shake. You're cold, Ashley said. I'm fine. Liar. I'm fine enough. She shifted in the darkness, and suddenly she was pressed against him, sharing what little warmth she had left. What are you doing? Ethan asked. Surviving, she said. Together. And in that moment, in a snow cave buried beneath a blizzard that wanted to kill them both, something changed. The rich biker princess and the invisible farm boy weren't strangers anymore. They were just two people fighting to make it through the night. Ethan, Ashley's voice was barely a whisper. Yeah. Thank you for coming after me. You're welcome. Why did you really? He thought about it, about all the times he'd been invisible at school, all the times people had looked through him like he didn't exist, all the times he'd sat alone at lunch, gone home to an empty farm, wondered if anyone would notice if he disappeared. Because I know what it feels like, he said finally, to be left behind. Ashley didn't say anything, but her hand found his in the darkness and she held on tight. Outside, the storm screamed. Inside, two broken people kept each other alive. Hours passed in the darkness. Maybe 3, maybe 5. Time stopped meaning anything when you couldn't see, couldn't move, couldn't do anything except breathe and hope the warmth you were creating was enough to keep death away. Ashley's shaking had finally stopped. That should have been good news, but Ethan knew better. When someone stopped shaking in the cold, it meant their body was shutting down. Giving up. Ashley, he nudged her shoulder, stay awake. I'm tired. I know, but you have to stay awake. Why? Because if you fall asleep, you might not wake up. His voice came out harsher than he meant. Talk to me about anything. Just stay awake. She was quiet for so long, he thought he had lost her. Then she said, everyone at school thinks I'm a bitch. Ethan almost laughed. That's what you want to talk about. It's true, isn't it? You think it too. I don't know you well enough to think anything. Exactly. Her voice was bitter. Nobody does. They see the leather jacket, the motorcycle in the parking lot, the last name Kane, and they decide who I am before I even open my mouth. So who are you? I don't know anymore. She shifted against him. My mom died when I was 7. Cancer. After that, it was just me and my dad and the club. The Hells Angels became my family. Those scary bikers everyone crosses the street to avoid. They taught me to ride, helped me with homework, showed up to every school play, every recital, every stupid thing I ever did. They loved me. Sounds like good family. They are. But try explaining that to people who think your dad's a criminal. Her voice cracked. I got accepted to Riverside on a scholarship, academic scholarship. Perfect grades, perfect test scores, perfect everything. And you know what the first thing someone said to me was, what? Did your dad threaten the admissions board? Ashley laughed, but it sounded like crying. I worked my ass off for 4 years to prove I was more than Marcus Kane's daughter. And it didn't matter. It never mattered. Ethan understood that feeling better than she knew. People are afraid of what they don't understand. Are you afraid of me? No. Why not, Anne? Because fear is boring, he said, and right now I'm too cold to be bored. This time when Ashley laughed, it sounded real. Then the laughter turned into coughing, deep rattling coughs that shook her whole body. Easy, Ethan said. Breathe slow. Can't breathe. Yes, you can. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Come on. She tried, failed, tried again. Slowly the coughing subsided. I'm sorry, she whispered. For what? For making you come out here. For being stupid enough to leave the bus. For... Stop. Ethan cut her off. You were scared. You panicked. That's human. And I came out here because I chose to. Nobody made me. But why? You don't even know me. I know enough. What does that mean? Ethan thought about how to explain it. Last month, Mrs. Chen paired us up for that history project. Remembered barely. You were supposed to come to my house to work on it, but you never showed up. And the next day, Madison told everyone you'd refuse to go to some poor kid's farm because you were too good for it. Ashley went completely still. That's not what happened. I know. You know? Yeah, because I saw you that afternoon in the parking lot. Your car wouldn't start, and you were on the phone trying to get a tow truck. You were stuck there for 3 hours. You saw that. I was waiting for the late bus. I watched you sit there trying to fix it yourself, getting grease all over your hands. You never asked anyone for help, never complained, just kept trying. Ashley's voice came out small. Why didn't you say anything? Because the next day when Madison spread that rumor, you didn't defend yourself. You just let everyone think what they wanted to think. And I realized something. He paused. You'd rather people think you're a snob than think you're weak. She didn't respond for a long time. Then quietly, you're smarter than people give you credit for. I'm a farm kid. We notice things. What else do you notice? You bite your nails when you're anxious. You doodle on every handout the teachers give you. You drink your coffee black because you think adding sugar makes you soft. And every Friday you eat lunch alone in your car because being invisible is easier than being judged. Jesus, Ashley breathed. You've been watching me. No, I've been seeing you. Ethan shifted, trying to keep blood flowing to his legs. There's a difference. Ashley was quiet again. Then she said something that surprised him. Tell me about your farm. Why? Because I want to know. Please. So Ethan told her about the 200 acres his grandfather had worked for 40 years, about the horses they bred, the crops they grew, the life they'd built from nothing, about his mother who died from a heart defect 6 months ago, leaving him with only memories and an old man who was trying his best, about the bank notice that had come last week, the one that said they had 2 weeks to pay $30,000 or lose everything. 30,000, Ashley's voice rose. That's it. That's everything to us. But that's nothing. My dad spends more than that on motorcycle parts. Different worlds, Ethan said quietly. Yeah, different worlds. She paused. What'll you do if you lose the farm? I don't know. My grandpa's too old to start over, and I've got nowhere else to go. He'd never said that out loud before. Admitting it made it real, made it terrifying. Well, so I guess I'll figure it out. That's what people like me do. People like you. People who don't have safety nets. Ashley grabbed his hand in the darkness and squeezed hard. You're not losing that farm. Ashley. I mean it. When we get out of here, I'm telling my dad he'll help. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's family helping family. We're not family. You saved my life, she said fiercely. That makes us family, whether you like it or not. Ethan wanted to argue, but exhaustion was catching up to him. His words were starting to slur. His thoughts were getting fuzzy. Ethan, Ashley's voice sounded far away. Stay with me. I'm here. No, you're fading. I can hear it. Stay awake. It's your turn. My turn for what? To stay awake, I'll talk. You listen. So Ashley talked. She told him about growing up in a world most people never saw. About the Hells Angels clubhouse where tough men with scarred knuckles treated her like a princess. About her Uncle Crow, who taught her to ride when she was 8. About Jake and Tommy and Vic bikers who looked like nightmares but cried at her school graduation. About her father, Marcus Kane, who'd been to prison twice but never once raised his voice at her. People think bikers are monsters, she said. And yeah, some of them are. Some of them have done terrible things, but they're also brothers. They're family. They're men who came back from wars nobody cared about and found each other when the world abandoned them. Your dad sounds like a good man, Ethan mumbled. He is. He's also terrifying. When I was 16, a boy at school grabbed my ass in the hallway, I told my dad. Next day, that boy's father showed up at our door, apologizing practically in tears. I never found out what my dad said to him. I didn't want to know. Protective. That's one word for it. She paused. Ethan, are you still awake? Yeah. Liar. I'm trying. Try harder. Please, I can't do this alone. He forced his eyes open, even though there was nothing to see in the darkness. Tell me more. About what? Anything, everything. Just keep talking. So she did. She told him about the first time she rode a motorcycle, how free it felt, how powerful, how alive. She told him about her mom, the memories she still had, the ones that were fading. She told him about the scars on her dad's back from a fight that nearly killed him. She told him secrets she'd never told anyone. And somewhere in the middle of those stories, Ethan realized something that should have been obvious from the beginning. Ashley Kane wasn't the girl everyone thought she was. She was brave. She was lonely. She was scared. She was human. Can I tell you something? Ashley asked. Sure. When I left that bus, I wasn't looking for help. I was running away. From what? From everything. The crash, the fear, the way everyone was looking at me like I was the problem. Her voice broke. My whole life, people have either feared me or wanted something from me. Nobody's ever just seen me like you do. Ashley. And when I was out of there in the snow dying, I thought that was it. I thought I'd disappear and nobody would care. The teachers would be relieved. The students would gossip. My dad would bury me and then bury everyone responsible. She took a shaky breath, but then you showed up. This quiet farm boy everyone ignores, and you risked your life for someone you barely know. I told you why. Because you know what it feels like to be left behind, I remember. She shifted closer to him. But there's more to it than that, isn't there? Ethan didn't answer right away. Then quietly, My mom died alone in a hospital. I was at school. My grandpa was at the feed store, and when her heart stopped, there was nobody there to hold her hand, nobody to tell her it was okay. She just left by herself. Ethan. So yeah, maybe there's more to it. Maybe I couldn't stand the thought of someone else dying alone. Maybe I'm selfish that way. That's not selfish, Ashley said. That's the most human thing I've ever heard. They fell quiet. Outside, the storm was finally starting to die down. The wind didn't scream anymore, it moaned. And through the tiny gaps in their snow cave, Ethan could see something that made his heart leap. Gray light, dawn light. Ashley, he said, the storm's breaking. What? Look, the snow's stopping. She saw the light and started crying. Real crying, the kind that comes from relief so deep it hurts. We made it, she sobbed. We actually made it. We made it, Ethan agreed. His whole body felt like it was on fire and frozen at the same time. His ribs screamed. His hands were probably frostbitten, but they were alive. We need to get out of here, Ashley said. Get back to the bus. Can you walk? I don't know. Let's find out. Ethan kicked away the snow blocking their entrance, and cold morning air rushed in. It was still freezing, still brutal, but compared to the night they'd survived, it felt almost warm. He crawled out first, then helped Ashley. She stood on shaky legs, tested her weight, and nodded. I can make it. The ravine looked different in daylight. The walls weren't as steep as they'd seemed in the dark. The fallen tree was smaller. Everything that had been terrifying and impossible 12 hours ago now looked almost manageable. Come on, Ethan said. Let's get you home. They climbed out of the ravine together, moving slow, supporting each other. The snow came up to their knees in some places, their waists in others. Every step was agony. Every breath burned. But they kept moving. Ethan, Ashley said after they'd been walking for maybe 10 minutes. Yeah. When we get back, things are going to get crazy. I know. My dad's going to find out what happened, what those teachers did, what those students said. Her voice hardened. And he's not going to let it go. I don't expect him to. Are you scared? Ethan thought about it. Then he smiled, actually smiled. No, I'm too tired to be scared. Ashley laughed. It was a good sound. They walked in silence for a few more minutes. Then Ashley stopped. What is it? Ethan asked. I hear something. He listened. At first there was nothing. Then faint but growing louder came a sound that made his blood run cold. Engines. Lots of them. Is that the rescue team? Ethan asked. Ashley's face went pale. That's not a rescue team. Then what? The first motorcycle crested the ridge above them, black and chrome and massive. Then another. Then 10 more. Then 20. They kept coming, and the wall of leather and steel and the sound of their engines made the mountain shake. Oh God, Ashley whispered. They found us. At the front of the pack rode a man who looked like he'd been carved from stone and violence. 6'4", heavily tattooed with a gray beard and eyes that could stop a heart. He wore a leather vest covered in patches, and when he saw Ashley standing in the snow, his face did something Ethan had never seen before. It broke. Marcus Kane killed his engine and was off his bike before it fully stopped. He ran through the snow like it wasn't there, like nothing in the world could slow him down, and when he reached Ashley, he grabbed her and held on like she might disappear. Baby girl, he said, his voice cracking. Oh God, baby girl. Dad, Ashley sobbed. I'm okay, I'm okay. You're not okay. You're half frozen. Where the hell have you been? We've been searching since midnight. The teachers said you just vanished. They said, he stopped, pulled back, looked at her. Who did this? Who left you out here? Dad, it's not left you. Ashley's eyes met Ethan's, and in that moment, everything changed. The teachers did, she said quietly. Mr. Peterson and Mrs. Chen. I left the bus after the crash because I was scared. And when Ethan told them to search for me, they said no. They said to wait for rescue. They said it wasn't their problem. Marcus Kane turned to look at Ethan for the first time. His eyes were black with rage, not at Ethan, but at the situation, at the people who'd abandoned his daughter. You're Ethan, he said. It wasn't a question. Yes, sir. You went after her? Yes, sir. Alone. There wasn't anyone else. Marcus studied him for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised everyone. He pulled Ethan into a hug, a crushing, painful hug that squeezed the air from his lungs. "Thank you," he said roughly. "Thank you for bringing her back." Ethan didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. Behind Marcus, the other bikers had dismounted. Ethan recognized some of their faces from the news, from wanted posters, from stories that scared children. But right now, they just looked like men who'd been terrified and were now relieved. "Boss," one of them said, "the bus is half a mile east. Teachers and students are all there. Rangers arrived about an hour ago." Marcus's face went dark. "The teachers are still there." "Yeah." "Good." He turned to Ashley. "Can you ride?" "I think so." "Then get on my bike. We're going to have a conversation with some people." He looked at Ethan. "You too, kid. You're with us." "Sir, I don't—" "You saved my daughter's life," Marcus said. "That makes you family. And family rides together. Get on." One of the bikers brought Ethan a helmet. Another offered him a jacket. And before he fully understood what was happening, Ethan was sitting behind a Hell's Angel named Vic, holding on for dear life, as 20 motorcycles roared down the mountain toward the crashed bus. "You good kid," Vic shouted over the engine. "Not really," Ethan shouted back. Vic laughed. "You will be. Boss likes you. That means we like you. And when we like someone, we take care of them." "I don't need—" "Yeah, you do. Everyone needs someone. You'll figure that out." The buses and ranger vehicles came into view. Students and teachers stood in clusters wrapped in emergency blankets, looking cold and miserable. And when they heard the motorcycles coming, every single one of them went pale. Marcus Kane didn't just arrive. He made an entrance. The Hells Angels formed a semicircle around the bus engines, idling, waiting. And when Marcus dismounted, the temperature seemed to drop another 10 degrees. Mr. Peterson stepped forward, shaking. "Mr. Kane, I can explain." "Explain." Marcus's voice was soft, dangerously soft. "You're going to explain why my daughter was left to die in a blizzard. We thought she'd come back on her own. We thought—" "You thought." Marcus took a step closer. "You thought it was safer to leave a 17-year-old girl in -20 weather than to search for her. Is that right?" "The storm was too dangerous, but not too dangerous for him." Marcus pointed at Ethan. "A 16-year-old farm kid with a cheap jacket and holes in his boots went out there alone. And he found her. He built a shelter. He kept her alive. He did your job." Mrs. Chen tried to speak. "We were following protocol." "Protocol!" Marcus's laugh was terrifying. "Your protocol left my daughter to freeze to death. So here's my protocol." He looked at the Rangers. "I want these two arrested for child endangerment. I want the school investigated. I want every student interviewed about what happened on that bus, and I want it done now." One of the Rangers stepped forward. "Sir, we understand you're upset, but—" "I'm not upset," Marcus said. "Upset is when someone cuts you off in traffic. This is something else entirely." The Ranger's hand moved toward his gun. 20 bikers moved toward theirs faster. "Dad," Ashley said, stepping between them. "Stop. Please. Baby girl. They deserve to be punished, but not like this." She took his hand. "I'm alive. Ethan's alive. That's what matters." Marcus looked at his daughter, at the girl he'd almost lost, and some of the rage drained from his face. Not all of it, but enough. "Fine," he said. "The legal way. But make no mistake." He turned to Mr. Peterson and Mrs. Chen. "Your careers are over. Your reputations are destroyed. And if I ever see either of you near my daughter again, we'll have a very different conversation." Mr. Peterson looked like he might pass out. Mrs. Chen was already crying. "Now," Marcus said, turning to Ethan, "let's talk about you." "Me?" "Yeah, you." Marcus walked over, and every eye in the clearing followed him. "Ashley told me about your farm, about the bank notice, about the 30,000. Ethan's face flushed. "Sir, I didn't tell her that, so—" "I know why you told her, but here's the thing, kid. You saved my daughter, and in my world, debts get paid." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a checkbook, wrote something, ripped it out, handed it to Ethan. "This covers the farm and then some. Consider it a thank you." Ethan stared at the check. $50,000. More money than he'd ever seen in his life. "I can't take this," he said. "You can and you will." "It's too much." "It's not enough," Marcus said. "Nothing's enough for what you did, but it's a start." Ethan looked at Ashley. She was smiling through her tears, nodding, telling him it was okay. And for the first time since his mother died, Ethan felt something he'd almost forgotten. Hope. Thank you, he whispered. Don't thank me. Just take care of that farm and take care of her. Marcus nodded toward Ashley. Because whether you know it or not, you two are connected now, and that connection, that's forever. The students from the bus were watching in stunned silence. Madison Holbrook looked like she might faint. Tyler Vance couldn't meet anyone's eyes. And somewhere in the back of the crowd, Courtney was crying, whether from relief or shame, Ethan couldn't tell. All right, Marcus announced. Rangers will take it from here, but I want weekly updates on the investigation. I want accountability, and I want the world to know what happened on this mountain. He turned to leave, then stopped. Looked back at Ethan one more time. You ever need anything, kid, you call me. You hear anything at all? Yes, sir. Marcus Kane smiled a real smile that transformed his entire face. And stop calling me sir. We're family now. Call me Marcus. Then he was gone, mounting his bike, roaring away with his daughter and his brothers. And Ethan stood in the snow holding a check that would save his life, surrounded by people who finally saw him. The invisible farm boy wasn't invisible anymore. The check sat on Ethan's kitchen table for 3 days before he had the courage to touch it again. $50,000, written in Marcus Kane's handwriting. Real, impossible, terrifying. His grandfather stood at the stove making coffee, his hands shaking slightly, the way they always did now. He'd been quiet since Ethan told him everything. Too quiet. You gonna cash it? He finally asked. I don't know. It's sitting right there, saving our farm. And you don't know. It feels wrong, Grandpa. Wrong. The old man turned around, his face hard. Let me tell you what's wrong. Wrong is the bank taking land my father cleared with his bare hands. Wrong is you working 16-hour days trying to save something you shouldn't have to save at 16. That check, that's the first right thing that's happened to us in a year. But I didn't earn it. You saved his daughter's life. I'd say you earned it. Ethan's phone buzzed. Another message from Ashley. That made 37 since they'd come off the mountain 4 days ago. He'd answered maybe 5 of them. You avoiding her? His grandfather asked. No. Liar. You've been avoiding everyone, haven't been to school, haven't left this house except to feed the horses. He poured 2 cups of coffee and sat down. What are you scared of? I'm not scared. Double liar. The old man pushed a cup across the table. Talk to me. Ethan wrapped his hands around the warm mug. His fingers still hurt from the frostbite. The doctor said he was lucky. Another hour in that storm and he would have lost them. Everything's different now, he said quietly. At school, in town. People look at me like I'm someone else, someone important, and I don't know how to be that person. So don't be. Be yourself. Myself wasn't good enough before. Then they were blind. Now they can see. His grandfather reached across and squeezed his shoulder. Son, you did something most people couldn't do. You walked into hell and brought someone back. That changes things. That's supposed to change things. I just wanted to go back to normal. There is no normal anymore. There's only forward. The sound of engines interrupted them. Lots of engines. Ethan's stomach dropped. That them? His grandfather asked. Yeah, that's them. They walked outside together. 20 motorcycles rolled up the dirt driveway, chrome gleaming in the weak morning sun. The Hells Angels had arrived at the Ryder farm in full formation, and every single one of them looked like they'd ridden straight out of a movie about people you shouldn't mess with. Marcus Kane dismounted first. He wore the same leather vest, the same boots, the same expression that said he was a man who didn't ask for things, he took them. Behind him came Ashley, and behind her came the rest of the club. Vic, Tommy, Jake, Crow. Names Ethan had learned from Ashley's stories in the snow cave. Ethan, Marcus said, nodding. Marcus. The name felt strange in his mouth. This is your grandfather. Yes, sir, Henry Ryder. Henry stepped forward and extended his hand. To Ethan's surprise, Marcus shook it with genuine respect. Your grandson saved my daughter, Marcus said. I heard. You gave him too much money for it. There's no such thing as too much when it comes to family. We're not family. Not yet. Marcus smiled slightly. But we're working on it. Henry studied the biker president for a long moment. Then he said something that surprised everyone. You want coffee? It's cheap and it's hot. I'd like that. They all ended up in the kitchen, all 20 Hells Angels crammed into a space meant for maybe 6 people. They stood against walls, sat on counters, filled every available space with leather and attitude. Ethan's grandfather made 3 full pots of coffee and didn't complain once. Ashley found Ethan in the corner and pulled him aside. "You've been ignoring my messages," she said. "I've been busy." "Liar, you've been hiding." "Ashley, don't. I know what you're doing. You saved my life and now you're pulling away because you think that's what you're supposed to do. The noble, poor kid who doesn't want charity." Her eyes flashed. "Well, newsflash. This isn't charity. This is gratitude. There's a difference. I don't know how to handle this." "Handle what?" "Any of it. You're dead, the money, the attention. He struggled for words. "I'm just a farm kid, Ashley. I don't belong in your world." "You think I belong in yours?" she shot back. "I grew up in a clubhouse surrounded by bikers. I don't know anything about farms, but I'm here anyway trying to figure it out, because that's what people do when they care about someone." "You care about me." "Of course I do, you idiot." They stared at each other. The kitchen noise faded, and for a moment it was just them, the way it had been in the snow cave. "I cared about you before the mountain," Ashley said quietly. "I just didn't know how to show it. Every time I tried to talk to you at school, you'd look at me like I was going to bite. Every time our eyes met in the hallway, you'd look away. I thought you hated me." "I didn't hate you. I was scared of you." "Why?" "Because girls like you don't talk to guys like me. Not unless they want something or they're making fun of me." And I couldn't figure out which one it was. Ashley's face softened. "I wasn't doing either. I was trying to figure out how to be friends with someone who looked at me like I was human instead of a walking reputation." "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize. Just stop hiding from me." Ethan nodded. Then, because he couldn't help himself, he asked, "What happens now?" Now we figure it out together." Marcus's voice cut through the kitchen chatter. "All right, everyone, shut up. We got business." The room went silent instantly. That was the kind of respect Marcus commanded. He turned to Ethan. "I talked to the bank," Marcus said. "Your loans have been paid in full. The farm is yours free and clear." Ethan's grandfather nearly dropped his coffee. "What?" "I made some calls, had some conversations. The bank manager suddenly became very understanding." Marcus's smile was sharp. "Turns out he's a reasonable man when properly motivated." "What kind of motivation?" Henry asked suspiciously. "The legal kind. Don't worry, old man. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got threatened. I just reminded him that foreclosing on a 16-year-old kid who's working himself to death trying to save his family farm isn't good publicity. Especially not when that kid is a certified hero." "Hero," Ethan muttered. "I'm not a hero." "The internet says otherwise," Vic called from the corner. He held up his phone. "You're all over the news, kid. Farm boy saves biker princess in deadly blizzard. You got fan pages, Twitter threads, everything." "What?" Ashley pulled out her own phone and showed him. Sure enough, their story was everywhere. Photos of the crashed bus, photos of the Hells Angels arriving, photos of Marcus handing Ethan the check. Someone had even found Ethan's school photo and circled his face with hearts. "Oh God," Ethan said weakly. "It gets better," Ashley said, scrolling. "Look at this one. Local hero defies rich school to save outcast girl." And this one. Hells Angels president calls poor student family after daring rescue. "Make it stop." "Can I stop the internet, kid?" Tommy said. He was a huge man with a bald head and a scar across his cheek. "You're famous now. Might as well enjoy it." "I don't want to be famous." "Too late," Marcus said. "But here's the thing about fame. You can use it or let it use you. I suggest the former." "What does that mean?" "It means the school is in full panic mode. The teachers you saved Ashley from, they've been suspended pending investigation. The school board is scrambling to do damage control, and every news outlet in Montana wants to interview you." Marcus leaned against the counter. "You got leverage now, real leverage. Question is, what are you going to do with it?" Ethan looked at his grandfather, who shrugged. "Your life, son. Your choice." "I just want things to go back to normal." "There is no normal," Marcus said, echoing Henry's earlier words. "There's only what comes next. So decide. You gonna hide or you gonna stand up? Before Ethan could answer, his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello. Is this Ethan Ryder? A woman's voice. Professional. Clipped. Yes. This is Principal Morrison from Riverside Academy. I need you to come to my office immediately. Why? We need to discuss your future at this school. The way she said it made Ethan's blood run cold. Are you expelling me? We need to have a conversation, in person, today. But I saved. Today, Mr. Ryder, 2 o'clock. Don't be late. She hung up. Ethan stared at his phone. They're going to expel me. What? Ashley grabbed the phone from his hand. Who was that? Principal Morrison. She wants me in her office at 2. Over my dead body, Marcus said. His voice had gone dangerously quiet. You save a student's life and they repay you with expulsion. Not happening. Sir, you can't. Watch me. Marcus was already heading for the door. Everyone mount up. We're going to Riverside. Dad, wait, Ashley started. No waiting. They want to punish a kid for being brave, for doing what their own teachers refuse to do. Then they're going to answer to me. Marcus, Henry said quietly. The old man's voice cut through the rising anger. Let the boy handle it. Handle what? They're going to railroad him. Maybe, but storming in there with 20 bikers won't help. It'll just prove every bad thing people think about you. Henry looked at Ethan. You want to fight this battle with an army behind you, or you want to fight it yourself? Ethan's throat was tight. I don't know how to fight this. Yes, you do. You walked into a blizzard alone to save someone. This is nothing compared to that. That was different. How? Because I knew what I was doing out there. Here I'm just me. Poor kid. Scholarship student. Nobody. You're not nobody, Ashley said fiercely. You're Ethan Ryder. You're the boy who saved my life. And if that school tries to punish you for it, they're going to wish they hadn't. She's right, Marcus said. But here's the play. You go to that meeting. You speak your truth. And if they still try to expel you, then we bring the hammer down. Legal, public, brutal. Understood. Ethan nodded. Good, and you're not going alone. Marcus pointed at Ashley. You're with him, and so am I. They want a meeting, they're getting a meeting they'll never forget. At exactly 2 o'clock, Ethan walked through the doors of Riverside Academy with Ashley on one side and Marcus Kane on the other. The school's secretary's face went white when she saw them. Mr. Ryder, she stammered, Principal Morrison is waiting in her office. Lead the way, Marcus said. They walked through hallways Ethan had walked hundreds of times before. But now students stopped and stared, whispered, pointed. Some looked at him with respect, others with fear, and a few with something that might have been jealousy. Madison Holbrook stood by her locker surrounded by her usual crowd. When she saw Ethan, her face flushed red and she looked away. Tyler Vance did the same. All the students who'd mocked him ignored him, treated him like he was invisible. They couldn't meet his eyes now. Feels different, doesn't it? Ashley murmured. Yeah, Ethan said. It does. Principal Morrison's office was exactly what he expected. Expensive furniture, diplomas on the wall, a woman in a power suit sitting behind a desk that probably cost more than his truck. She stood when they entered, and her professional smile flickered when she saw Marcus. Mr. Kane, I didn't expect you to attend this meeting. My daughter nearly died because of your staff. I'm attending every meeting from now on. Marcus sat down without being invited. Start talking. Morrison's jaw tightened. Very well. Mr. Ryder, you're here because your actions during the ski trip violated several school policies. Which policies? Ethan asked. You left the bus without permission from staff. You endangered yourself, and you directly disobeyed orders from Mr. Peterson. Orders to let Ashley die. Orders to stay put and wait for proper authorities. The proper authorities wouldn't have arrived in time. Ashley would have frozen to death. That's speculation. No, that's fact, Marcus interjected. My daughter was hypothermic when Ethan found her. The EMTs said another hour and she would have been dead. So unless you're arguing that following orders is more important than saving a life, I suggest you reconsider this conversation. Morrison's face was stiff. Mr. Kane, I understand your gratitude. Do you? Because I don't think you do. Let me explain it clearly. Your teachers abandoned my daughter. This student saved her. And now you're punishing him for it. Does that about sum it up? We're not punishing anyone. We're reviewing the situation. Sounds like punishment to me, Ashley said coldly. Sounds like you're more worried about liability than right and wrong. Miss Kane, don't. You know what happened on that bus. The whole world knows. And if you expel Ethan, everyone will know that Riverside Academy punishes heroes and protects cowards. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something that made Ethan's stomach drop. The school board has already made its decision. Mr. Ryder is being expelled effective immediately. The room went dead silent. What? Ashley breathed. The decision is final. Mr. Ryder's scholarship has been revoked and he is no longer welcome at Riverside Academy. Marcus stood up slowly. When he spoke, his voice was soft, terrifyingly soft. You just made the biggest mistake of your life. Are you threatening me? No, I'm promising you. By tomorrow morning, every news outlet in America will know what you just did. By tomorrow afternoon, your donors will be pulling funding. By tomorrow night, parents will be withdrawing students. And by the end of the week, you'll be looking for a new job. You can't. Watch me. Marcus turned to Ethan. Come on, son. This school doesn't deserve you anyway. They walked out together. Students lined the hallways watching in silence. And when they reached the front doors, Ethan turned back one last time. He saw Madison crying, saw Tyler looking ashamed, saw Courtney mouth the words, "I'm sorry." And he realized something important. He'd spent 6 months trying to fit into a world that never wanted him. But now he didn't need to fit in. He'd found something better. He'd found family. Outside, the Hells Angels were waiting. All 20 bikes lined up like an army. And when Marcus emerged with Ethan and Ashley, they revved their engines in unison, a sound like thunder, like rage, like justice. What now? Ethan asked. Marcus clapped him on the shoulder. Now we go to war. Legal war, public war. The kind of war they can't win because you know what they just did. What? They gave us the moral high ground. And once you have that, everything else is easy. He grinned a fierce, wild grin. Trust me, kid. By the time we're done, that school will wish they'd given you a medal instead of expulsion. I don't want revenge. This isn't revenge. This is justice. Marcus mounted his bike. And sometimes justice looks a lot like revenge. You'll learn. Ashley took Ethan's hand. You okay? I just got expelled for saving your life. I know, and I'm going to make them regret it. How? She smiled. I'm withdrawing. If they won't let you be a student there, then I won't be either. Ashley, no. Your scholarship is meaningless if the school is full of people who punish heroes. She squeezed his hand. We'll figure something else out. Together. Remember. Ethan looked at her. At Marcus. At the Hells Angels who'd shown up for him like he was one of their own. And he realized his grandfather had been right. There was no going back to normal. There was only forward. All right, he said, let's go to war. By the next morning, the story had exploded. Every news channel carried it. Every newspaper ran headlines. Riverside Academy expels student hero. School punishes rescuer, protects negligent teachers. Hells Angels president vows justice for expelled student. Ethan's phone wouldn't stop ringing. Reporters, lawyers, parents from the school offering support. Even the governor's office called asking for a statement. Marcus handled most of it. He'd hired a lawyer, a vicious woman named Sarah Chen, who specialized in public interest cases. Within 24 hours, she'd filed a lawsuit against the school for wrongful expulsion, emotional distress, and defamation. They're going to settle, Sarah told them over coffee at the farmhouse. Schools always settle when the publicity is this bad. How much? Henry asked. Enough, trust me. She looked at Ethan. But here's the question. What do you want? Money, reinstatement, an apology? I want them to admit they were wrong, Ethan said quietly. I want Mr. Peterson and Mrs. Chen to face consequences. And I want to make sure no other student ever gets punished for doing the right thing. All doable, but it'll take time. I've got time. That afternoon, Ashley showed up at the farm with boxes. Lots of boxes. What's all this? Ethan asked. My stuff. I told you I was withdrawing from Riverside. Mom's homeschooling me for the rest of the semester. She started unpacking. And since I'll be spending a lot of time here helping with the farm, I figured I should bring some things. You're going to help on the farm. Why not? I've got nothing else to do, and someone needs to make sure you don't work yourself to death. Ethan's grandfather appeared in the doorway grinning. She's got a point, son, but you don't know anything about farming. So teach me, Ashley said. I taught you about my world. Now you teach me about yours. And just like that, the biker princess became the farmhand. It was chaos at first. Ashley had never fed a horse in her life, never mucked a stall, never fixed a fence. But she learned fast. And the Hells Angels surprisingly showed up to help. Vic knew welding, Tommy knew engines, Jake knew construction. Within 2 weeks, the farm looked better than it had in years. Your people are good at this, Ethan told Marcus one afternoon. They were standing by the barn, watching Ashley try to ride one of the horses. We're good at whatever we need to be good at, Marcus said. That's how you survive. She's going to fall. Probably, but she'll get back up. She always does. Ashley did fall 3 times, but each time she climbed back on, cursing and laughing in equal measure. And by sunset, she was riding like she'd been born to it. You're a natural, Ethan called. I had a good teacher, she yelled back. Marcus smiled. You're good for her, you know that? I don't know about that. I do. She's been different since the mountain. Happier. More herself, he paused. And you've been good for me, too. Reminded me what the club is supposed to be about. Family, loyalty, protecting people who need it. I thought that's what you always were. We try, but sometimes we forget. You reminded us. That evening, they all gathered around the kitchen table for dinner. Henry cooked. Marcus brought beer. The Hells Angels filled the house with laughter and stories. And for the first time since his mother died, Ethan felt something that had been missing. Home. Not just a place, but a feeling. The feeling of being surrounded by people who cared, who showed up, who stayed. Speech, Vic called out, banging his fork on the table. The kid needs to give a speech. No speeches, Ethan protested. Come on, you saved our princess. You get to say something. Everyone was looking at him, waiting. Even his grandfather was smiling. Fine. Ethan stood up, his face hot. I don't really know what to say except thank you for showing up, for helping, for treating me like family even though I'm not. You are family, Marcus corrected. Blood doesn't make family, choice does. And we choose you. Then I choose you back, Ethan said. His voice cracked slightly. All of you. The Hells Angels roared approval, raising their beers. Ashley reached across the table and took Ethan's hand. And somewhere in the noise and warmth and chaos, Ethan realized something profound. He'd walked into a blizzard to save one person. And somehow he'd saved himself too. 3 weeks after the dinner, Riverside Academy settled. Sarah Chen called early on a Tuesday morning, her voice crackling with satisfaction. They're offering full reinstatement with a public apology, $100,000 in damages, and immediate termination of Peterson and Chen. They want this buried before it gets worse. Ethan stood in the barn phone, pressed to his ear, watching Ashley teach his grandfather how to use a smartphone. $100,000. Could have gotten more, but they're agreeing to everything else on your list. The school's implementing new emergency protocols, mandatory wilderness safety training for all staff, and they're creating a scholarship fund in your name for students who demonstrate exceptional courage. A scholarship in my name. You're a hero, Ethan. Might as well act like one. She paused. So do we take it? He looked at Ashley. She'd been living half her life on the farm now, showing up every morning at dawn to help with chores, staying until sunset. Her designer clothes had been replaced with worn jeans and flannel shirts. Her perfect nails were chipped and dirty, and she'd never looked happier. Take it, Ethan said, but I'm not going back to Riverside. What? Why not? Because I don't want to be around people who only respect me because they're afraid of getting sued. I'll finish my degree somewhere else. Sarah was quiet for a moment. You're smarter than I gave you credit for. I'll draw up the papers. When he hung up, Ashley was grinning at him. You turned down Riverside. Yeah. Good, that place is full of snakes anyway. She walked over and kissed his cheek. So what's next? Online school, GED? I was thinking community college. Get my basics done, then transfer somewhere that actually wants me. We could do it together, she said. I'm not going back either. Not after everything. Your dad okay with that? My dad wants me happy, and I'm happy here. She gestured around the barn. Never thought I'd say that about a farm, but here we are. Henry shuffled over phone in hand. This thing just beeped at me. Says I have electronic mail. What's electronic mail? Email, Grandpa. It's just email. Back in my day, mail came in an envelope. But he was smiling. The old man had been smiling a lot lately. Having people around having purpose beyond survival had given him something Ethan hadn't seen in months. Life. Who's it from? Ashley asked. Henry squinted at the screen. Says it's from the Montana Department of Education. They want Ethan to speak at some conference about student safety. Absolutely not, Ethan said immediately. Why not? Ashley challenged. You've got a platform now. Use it. I don't want a platform. I just want to live my life. Too late for that. She pulled out her own phone and showed him. His story was still circulating online. New articles every day. Think pieces about heroism, class division, and the failures of institutional authority. Someone had even started a podcast about him. This is insane, Ethan muttered. This is impact, Ashley corrected. Whether you like it or not, you change something. People are paying attention to kids like you now. Kids who get overlooked because they're poor or different or don't fit in. You gave them a voice. I didn't ask for that responsibility. Nobody asked for responsibility. It just shows up one day and forces you to decide who you're going to be. She touched his arm. So who are you going to be, Ethan Ryder? Before he could answer, the sound of motorcycles filled the air. But this time it wasn't Marcus and the Hells Angels. It was different bikes, different riders. And when they pulled into the driveway, Ethan's blood ran cold. The patches on their vests said Iron Wolves, a rival club, and the man leading them looked like violence personified. Stay behind me, Ethan said to Ashley. Like hell I will. The Iron Wolves dismounted, 12 of them, all wearing the kind of faces that said they weren't here for coffee and conversation. The leader stepped forward. He was maybe 40 with a shaved head and scars that told stories Ethan didn't want to know. You Ethan Ryder? Yeah. I'm Colt, president of the Iron Wolves. He looked around the farm. Nice place you got here. What do you want? I don't want anything. I came to say thank you. Ethan blinked. What? You saved Marcus Kane's daughter. That makes you important to him, which means you're important to us. I don't understand. Colt smiled, but it wasn't friendly. The Hells Angels and the Iron Wolves don't always see eye to eye, but we respect each other. And when someone does right by one of theirs, they do right by all of us. He reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. This is from our club. Consider it a gift. Ethan opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $25,000. I can't accept this. You can and you will, because refusing it would be disrespectful. And trust me, kid, you don't want to disrespect us. Ashley stepped forward. My father know you're here. He does. Gave his blessing, actually. Said the kid saved his daughter, deserves all the help he can get. Colt turned back to Ethan. Use it for college. Use it for the farm. Use it to buy yourself something nice. I don't care. Just know that you've got friends now. Real friends. The kind that ride when you call. Why are you doing this? Because you did something most people wouldn't do. You walked into a storm for someone you barely knew. That's the code, kid. That's what separates us from everyone else. He extended his hand. We take care of our own, and now you're one of us, whether you wear a patch or not. Ethan shook his hand, still trying to process what was happening. The Iron Wolves, one of the most dangerous motorcycle clubs in Montana, had just adopted him. After they left, Ashley turned to him with wide eyes. Do you know what just happened? Not really. That was a blessing from a rival club. That never happens. Ever. She grabbed his shoulders. Ethan, you just got protection from two of the biggest clubs in the state. Nobody will touch you now. Nobody. I don't need protection. Everyone needs protection. Welcome to my world. That evening, Marcus showed up alone. No bikes, no club, just him and a six-pack of beer. Heard you had visitors, he said, sitting down on the porch next to Ethan. Yeah, the Iron Wolves. What did you think? Honestly, they scare me. Marcus laughed. Good. They should, but they're honorable. If they say they've got your back, they mean it. He cracked open a beer and handed it to Ethan. You're collecting quite the family kid. I don't know how to handle this. Nobody does at first, but you'll learn. Marcus took a long drink. Can I tell you something? Sure. When Ashley was born, I was in prison. Didn't meet her until she was 6 months old, and when I finally held her, I made a promise. I promised I'd give her a life better than mine, keep her away from the violence, the crime, all the darkness I'd seen. Thought if I could just protect her from my world, she'd be safe. But, but life doesn't work that way. She grew up in clubhouses, rode on the back of motorcycles before she could walk. The darkness I tried to hide from her became her normal. He turned to look at Ethan. And then she almost died in that blizzard. And I realized something. I couldn't protect her from everything. But you could, you did. Marcus, let me finish. You walked into hell for my daughter when everyone else stayed warm and safe. You built a shelter, kept her alive, brought her back to me, and you didn't do it for money or recognition or because you wanted something from me. You did it because it was right. His voice grew thick. That's the kind of man I always wanted to be, the kind I tried to raise her to recognize. And here you are, some farm kid I'd never heard of, showing me what real courage looks like. I was just doing what anyone would do. No, you weren't, because everyone else didn't do it. Just you. Marcus stood up. Ashley talks about you constantly. She's different now, lighter. And I see the way you look at her, the way she looks at you. Ethan's face burned. Sir, I'm not blind kid, and I'm not stupid. My daughter's falling for you. Maybe already fell, and normally that would terrify me. Some boy getting close to my girl trying to, he stopped. But with you, I'm not worried, because I know you'll protect her. I know you'll treat her right. And I know that if the world tried to take her from you, you'd walk through another blizzard to bring her back. I would, without hesitation. I know. That's why I'm giving you this. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out something that made Ethan's heart stop. It was a Hell's Angels patch. Not the full colors, but a smaller patch that said family. This isn't official membership, Marcus said. You haven't earned that, and frankly, I don't want you in that life. But this says you're under our protection. This says you're one of us. And if anyone ever gives you trouble, you show them this, and they'll think twice. Ethan stared at the patch. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything, just take it, and take care of my daughter. I will, I promise. Marcus pulled him into a hug, rough and quick, but genuine. Good man. After Marcus left, Ethan sat on the porch holding the patch, trying to understand how his life had changed so completely in less than a month. A month ago, he was nobody. The invisible farm boy, the scholarship kid people mocked. Now he had family, real family. The dangerous kind that rode motorcycles and carried guns and lived by codes most people didn't understand. But also the loyal kind, the kind that showed up, the kind that stayed. Ashley found him there an hour later. She sat down beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. Dad gave you the patch, she said. Yeah. How do you feel? Terrified, grateful, confused, all of it. She smiled. Welcome to being part of something bigger than yourself. Is this what it's always like in your world? Pretty much, intense, complicated, but also, she paused, searching for words. Also safe in a weird way, because you know people have your back, really have it. Not the fake kind where they say they'll be there but disappear when things get hard. The real kind. I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. You saved my life in a blizzard. I think you're more cut out for it than you realize. They sat in silence for a while, watching the sun set over the fields. The horses grazed in the distance. The barn door creaked in the wind. Everything was peaceful in a way that felt almost unreal. Ethan, Ashley's voice was soft. Yeah, can I ask you something? Sure. That night in the snow cave, when we were talking about family and being left behind and all those things we said, she hesitated. Did you mean it, or were you just trying to keep me awake? I meant every word, even the part about feeling invisible, especially that part. She turned to face him. You're not invisible anymore. I know, it's weird. Good weird or bad weird? Both, he looked at her, but mostly good because of you. Ashley's eyes filled with tears. Because of me. Yeah, you could have forgotten about me after we came off that mountain. Gone back to your life, your world, your people. But you didn't. You stayed. You chose to be here. And that, he trailed off. That what? That changed everything. She kissed him then, not the careful kiss on the cheek from before. A real kiss, the kind that said all the things words couldn't say. And when they pulled apart, both of them were smiling. I've wanted to do that for weeks, Ashley admitted. Why didn't you? Because I was scared you didn't feel the same way. Are you kidding? I've been terrified to say anything because you're Marcus Kane's daughter, and don't finish that sentence. Don't you dare say you're just a farm boy or just anything. You're Ethan Ryder. You're the guy who saved my life. You're brave and kind and genuine in a world full of people who are fake. And I don't care what anyone thinks. I want this. I want you. Even though it's complicated. Especially because it's complicated. Easy is boring. Complicated means it matters. Ethan laughed, really laughed for the first time in what felt like forever. When did you get so wise? I've always been wise. You just weren't paying attention. I'm paying attention now. Good, don't stop. They sat together until the stars came out, and somewhere in the darkness, Ethan heard motorcycles in the distance, not coming closer, just riding, patrolling, watching, his family making sure he was safe. The next morning, the school board called a press conference. They announced the settlement, the new safety protocols, and they issued a public apology to Ethan that was broadcast on every local news channel. We failed, Mr. Ryder, the board president said, reading from a prepared statement. We failed to recognize his courage. We failed to protect him from institutional retaliation. And we failed to uphold the values we claim to represent. We are deeply sorry. Ethan watched it from the farmhouse kitchen, surrounded by his grandfather Ashley and half a dozen Hells Angels who'd stopped by for breakfast. They looked terrified, Vic observed. They should be, Marcus said. Lawsuit is settled, but the court of public opinion isn't. They're going to be under a microscope for years. Good, Ashley said coldly. They deserve it. What about Peterson and Chen? Ethan asked. Both fired, both facing criminal negligence charges. The DA's pushing hard. Sarah Chen's voice came through the speakerphone. They're not getting away with anything. And the other students, that's trickier. The ones who actively mocked you or spread rumors have been disciplined internally. But unless you want to pursue individual cases, there's not much else we can do. I don't want to pursue anything. I just want it over. Then it's over. Congratulations, Ethan. You won. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. And maybe that was close enough. That afternoon, a news van pulled up to the farm. The reporter was young, eager, and carrying a camera that probably cost more than Ethan's truck. Mr. Ryder, I'm Jennifer Park from KRTV. Could we have a few minutes of your time? I don't do interviews. Please, just 5 minutes. People want to hear your story. Ethan looked at Marcus, who shrugged. Your call, kid. Fine, 5 minutes. The interview lasted 30. Jennifer asked about the blizzard, the rescue, the aftermath. She asked about the school, the lawsuit, what he'd learned. And at the end, she asked the question Ethan had been dreading. What do you want people to take away from your story? He thought about it, really thought about it. Then he said, I want people to know that the kids they ignore matter, the poor kids, the scholarship kids, the ones who don't have designer clothes or new phones or parents who donate to the school. We're here, we're human, and we're capable of things nobody expects. So maybe instead of judging us by our bank accounts, you should judge us by our character. Jennifer blinked. That's powerful. It's the truth. Can I ask one more question? Sure. Do you regret going into that storm? Not for a second. I'd do it again tomorrow. The interview aired that night, and by morning it had gone viral. Clips circulated on social media. People quoted Ethan's words. Teachers used it in classrooms. And somewhere in America, 1,000 invisible kids watched a farm boy from Montana stand up and tell the world they mattered. 3 days later, letters started arriving. Hundreds of them, from students, parents, teachers, people thanking him, people telling him their own stories of being overlooked, underestimated, left behind. People saying he'd given them hope. Ethan read every single one. You're crying, Ashley said, finding him at the kitchen table surrounded by letters. These people, they're just like me. They've all felt invisible. Not anymore. You showed them they're not alone. I didn't mean to start something. The best things in life are usually the ones we don't mean to start. She sat down beside him. You changed the world a little bit, Ethan. That's pretty incredible. I just want to be normal. You are normal. You're also extraordinary. Both things can be true. That night, the Hells Angels threw a party at their clubhouse. They'd been planning it for weeks, and Marcus had insisted Ethan attend. What kind of party? Ethan had asked nervously. The good kind, just family. No drama, I promise. The clubhouse was exactly what Ethan expected, and nothing like it at the same time. Rough, loud, filled with leather and smoke and laughter, but also warm, welcoming. And when Ethan walked in with Ashley, everyone cheered. The hero arrives, someone shouted. Speech, speech. No speeches, Ethan protested, but it was too late. They were already pushing him toward the center of the room. Marcus handed him a beer. Say something, kid. I don't know what to say. Yes, you do. Ethan looked around at the faces watching him. Bikers, outlaws, men society feared, but also men who'd shown up for him when nobody else would. Men who'd helped rebuild his farm, protect his family, and give him a place to belong. All right, he said, I'll say this. A month ago, I thought family meant blood. I thought you had to be related to matter to someone, but you all taught me different. You taught me that family is choice, family is showing up, family is being there when it's hard, not just when it's easy. He raised his beer. So thank you for choosing me, for showing up, for being family when I didn't know I needed one. The room erupted. Bikers cheered. Someone started a chant. And Marcus Kane, the terrifying president of the Hells Angels, had tears in his eyes. Ashley squeezed Ethan's hand. You're one of us now. Forever. Forever, he repeated. And in that moment, surrounded by the most dangerous family in Montana, Ethan Ryder finally understood what it meant to be home. Spring came to Montana like a promise kept. The snow melted. The fields turned green. And the Ryder farm, which had been dying 6 months ago, was suddenly alive again. New fences lined the property. The barn had a fresh coat of paint. The horses were healthy and well-fed. And every morning, Ethan woke up to the sound of Ashley's motorcycle pulling into the driveway. You're late, he called from the porch. I'm exactly on time. You're just early. She dismounted and pulled off her helmet, her hair wild and beautiful. Ready to work, always. They'd fallen into a rhythm over the past months. Ashley would arrive at dawn. They'd work the farm until noon. Then they'd study together, both of them enrolled in online courses, now working toward degrees that actually mattered to them. Ethan was studying agriculture and business. Ashley was studying psychology and social work. I want to help kids like us, she'd explained one night, the ones who fall through the cracks, the ones nobody sees. You'd be good at that. We'd be good at it together. Together, that word had become their foundation. Everything they did together. And slowly the invisible farm boy and the biker princess had become something neither of them expected. Partners, in every sense of the word. But that morning something was different. Ashley seemed nervous, distracted. She kept checking her phone and looking toward the road like she was waiting for something. What's going on? Ethan asked. Nothing. Liar, you've checked your phone 6 times in 5 minutes. She bit her lip. Okay, fine, my dad's coming, and he's bringing someone. Who? You'll see. 20 minutes later, 2 motorcycles roared up the driveway. Marcus was on the first, and on the second was a man Ethan had never seen before. Older, maybe 60, with white hair and a leather vest covered in patches that told stories of decades on the road. Ethan, Marcus said, dismounting. This is Axel. He's the national president of the Hells Angels. Ethan's mouth went dry. The national president, the man who controlled one of the most powerful motorcycle clubs in America, and he was standing on Ethan's farm. Sir, Ethan managed. Kid, Axel said. His voice was rough like gravel. Heard a lot about you. Marcus doesn't shut up about the farm boy who saved his daughter. I just did what anyone would do. No, you didn't, and that's why I'm here. Axel looked around the farm. Nice place you got. Built it back up from nothing from what I hear. Had a lot of help. That's what family does. Axel turned back to him. Marcus tells me you're planning to expand, get into breeding horses professionally. That true? Yes, sir, once I finish my degree and save up enough capital. How much capital you need? I don't know, maybe 200,000 to do it right. But that's years away. I'm just focused on, you got it. Ethan blinked. What? 200,000. The club's investing in your operation. Call it venture capital. Call it family helping family. Call it whatever you want, but you're getting the money. I can't accept that. Yes, you can, because this isn't charity. This is business. We invest. You build. And when you start making profit, you pay us back. With interest. Fair. Ethan looked at Marcus, who nodded. It's legitimate, kid. All legal. All clean. We're diversifying our investments, and your farm is a good bet. But why me, how are you? Because you're one of us, Axel said simply, and we take care of our own. Besides, Marcus here won't stop talking about you, says you're the future, says you're what the club should aspire to. That kind of endorsement means something. I don't know what to say. Say yes, build your dream, and remember where you came from. Axel extended his hand. Deal. Ethan shook it, still trying to process. Deal. After Axel left, Marcus stayed behind. He and Ethan walked the property line together, talking about plans, dreams, what the future could look like. This is really happening, Ethan said quietly. The farm's going to survive, maybe even thrive. More than survive, you're going to build something special here. I can feel it. I couldn't have done it without you. Without all of you. Sure you could have. Would have just taken longer. Marcus stopped and looked at him. But here's the thing, Ethan. You saved my daughter, and in doing that, you saved me too. Reminded me what matters. So when I say we're family, I mean it. Not just words, real family. I know. Good, because there's something else I need to talk to you about. Marcus's face grew serious. Ashley. Ethan's heart rate picked up. What about her? You two have been dancing around each other for months now, and I've been patient, but I need to know your intentions. My intentions? Don't play dumb. You love her. She loves you. I've got eyes. So what are you going to do about it? I don't know. We're young. We're still figuring things out. Bullshit. You know exactly what you want. You're just scared to say it. Ethan took a deep breath. Fine, yeah, I love her. I want to be with her. Build a life with her. But I'm terrified I'm not good enough. That I'll let her down. Stop. Marcus grabbed his shoulders. You walk through a blizzard for her. You're good enough. You'll always be good enough. So stop overthinking and just be with her. All in, no hesitation. Can you do that? Yes, I can. Good, because she deserves someone who's all in. And so do you. That evening, Ethan took Ashley to the ridge where they'd almost died. The snow was gone now, replaced by wildflowers and grass. The ravine where he'd found her looked smaller, less dangerous. But the memory still lived there, sharp and clear. Why did you bring me here? Ashley asked. Because this is where everything changed. Where we stopped being strangers and became... He struggled for the word. Us. Us. I like that. Ashley, I need to tell you something. She turned to face him, and in the fading light, she looked so beautiful it hurt. Okay. I love you. I've loved you since that night in the snow cave when you held my hand and told me we were family. And I know we're young. I know we've got our whole lives ahead of us. But I also know that I want to spend those lives with you. Building the farm, helping people, just being together. If you'll have me. Tears streamed down Ashley's face. You idiot. Of course I'll have you. I've been waiting for you to say that for months. Really, I love you too, Ethan Ryder. I love your stupid courage and your ridiculous kindness and the way you see people nobody else sees. And I want everything with you. The farm, the future, all of it. He kissed her, then long and deep, while the sun set over the mountains where they'd almost died. And when they pulled apart, both of them were smiling through tears. So what now? Ashley asked. Now we build something beautiful, together. Together, she agreed. 6 months later, the farm was unrecognizable. The investment from the Hells Angels had transformed everything. New stables, professional training facilities, state-of-the-art equipment. And Ethan had started breeding quarter horses not for racing, but for ranching. Strong, reliable animals that would help other farmers like his grandfather. The business took off faster than anyone expected. Orders came in from across Montana, then Wyoming, then Colorado. And within a year, Ryder Ranch was profitable. Actually profitable. Your grandfather would be proud, Ashley said one morning. They were standing in the main stable watching a mare and her new foal. He is proud, tells me every day. He also told me you're planning to propose. Ethan's face went red. He what? Relax, I already knew. You're terrible at keeping secrets, she grinned. Also, I found the ring box in your truck last week. You look on through my truck. I was looking for jumper cables. The box was just sitting there. She turned to him. So when were you planning to ask? I was waiting for the right moment. This is the right moment. Ashley. Ethan Ryder, are you going to make me wait forever, or are you going to ask me to marry you? He laughed, couldn't help it. This woman, this beautiful, impossible woman who changed his entire life. Fine, yes, will you marry me? That's the worst proposal I've ever heard. It's the only proposal you've ever heard. Fair point, and yes, obviously yes. She threw her arms around him. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I'll spend my life with you. Yes to everything. They got married on the farm 6 months later. It wasn't a traditional wedding. The guest list was half bikers and half farmers. The ceremony was officiated by Marcus, who'd gotten ordained online specifically for this. And instead of a white dress, Ashley wore leather and lace. You look perfect, Ethan said when he saw her. So do you. The vows they wrote were simple, honest, a promise to stand together no matter what came, to be family, to never leave each other behind. I was invisible before you, Ethan said, his voice shaking. But you saw me, and in seeing me, you saved me. So I promise to spend the rest of my life making sure you feel seen, valued, loved, every single day. Ashley was crying. I was lonely before you, surrounded by people, but still alone. But you made me feel human, real, like I mattered for more than my last name or my father's reputation. So I promise to spend the rest of my life showing you that you matter, that you're extraordinary, that you're mine. Marcus performed the ceremony with tears in his eyes, and when he pronounced them husband and wife, the Hells Angels revved their engines in celebration, a sound like thunder echoing across the valley. The reception lasted until dawn. Bikers danced with farmers. Ashley's club family and Ethan's blood family became one family. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Henry Ryder pulled Ethan aside. Your mother would be proud, he said. So damn proud. You think so? I know so. You took everything she taught you about kindness and courage, and you used it to build something beautiful. A life, a family, a future. He hugged his grandson tight. I love you, son. I love you too, Grandpa. 2 years after the wedding, Ashley graduated with her degree in social work, and together she and Ethan opened the Black Ridge Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to helping underprivileged students who got overlooked by the system. They provided scholarships, mentorship programs, emergency assistance for families in crisis. And every single person who worked for the foundation had one thing in common: they'd been invisible once too. We're not saving people, Ashley told a reporter who came to interview them. We're seeing them. There's a difference. The foundation grew fast. Within 5 years, they'd helped over 1,000 students. Kids who'd been written off, forgotten, left behind. Kids like Ethan had been. And every single one of them got the message loud and clear: you matter. You're seen. You are not alone. One spring morning, 7 years after the blizzard, Ethan and Ashley stood at the ridge again. They'd made it a tradition coming here once a year to remember, to reflect, to appreciate how far they'd come. You ever think about that night? Ashley asked. Every day. Me too. I think about how scared I was, how certain I was going to die. She took his hand, and then you showed up, this quiet farm boy who nobody paid attention to. And you saved me. We saved each other. Yeah, we did. She leaned against him. The world thought you were nobody, Ethan, the poor kid, the invisible one. But you were the bravest person on that mountain, and I'm so grateful I got to see it. I'm grateful you gave me a reason to be brave. They stood there in silence, watching the mountains where they had almost died, where they'd become family, where everything had changed. And Ethan thought about all the people who'd told him he was nothing, the teachers who'd looked through him, the students who'd mocked him, the world that had decided he didn't matter because he was poor. They'd all been wrong. He mattered. He'd always mattered. And now the whole world knew it. Come on, Ashley said, pulling him toward the truck. We've got work to do. The foundation's opening that new office in Billings next week, and we need to finalize the staff. You ever think about slowing down? Never. We got too much to do, too many kids to help, too many lives to change. She grinned. Besides, slowing down is boring. You're impossible. You love it. I really do. As they drove away from the ridge, Ethan looked in the rearview mirror one last time. The place where he'd walked into a storm to save someone nobody else cared about. The place where an invisible farm boy had become a hero. The place where everything had started. He'd walked into that blizzard expecting to die. Instead, he'd found family, purpose, love, a life worth living. The world had tried to tell him he was nobody, but Ashley had seen the truth. Marcus had seen it. The Hells Angels had seen it. And eventually, even Ethan had seen it himself. He wasn't nobody. He never had been. And now, driving down the mountain with his wife beside him, the farm thriving behind them, and a foundation changing lives in front of them. Ethan Ryder finally understood the most important lesson the blizzard had taught him. Sometimes the people the world ignores are the ones with the most to give. Sometimes the kids everyone writes off are the ones who change everything. And sometimes when everyone else stays safe and warm, all it takes is one person willing to walk into the storm. Because real courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being terrified and doing it anyway. It's about seeing someone in danger and refusing to look away. It's about walking into hell for someone else, even when the world says they're not worth saving. Ethan had done that, and in doing it, he'd proven something the world needed to learn. The invisible kids aren't invisible. They're just waiting for someone to see them. And when someone finally does, when someone finally recognizes their worth, they don't just survive. They soar.